Patricia, thank you for this wonderful presentation. So glad to be here with you. This is the ESADE Alumni annual meeting, an important time to come together to rethink and to start or reset. This seems to be as if we did not have enough problems or things to manage. Resetting seems to be a big word that asks us to actually make changes happen. And so how do we go forward? What kind of reset are we requiring? So we can go to the trusty McKinsey and see what McKinsey says about what is the center of the new kind of company we should be resetting to. And they mention purpose and shifting from why on earth should we have purpose to how. And that's what I'm witnessing personally myself at the moment, is all these companies are coming to me and saying, how can I make this happen? How can I actually apply purpose? So is purpose the answer? Is purpose where we want to be directing ourselves and our efforts? Purpose, I'm afraid, is not the answer. Now, this may shock a few of you, but there's something much more important than that, and that is shared purpose. Right now, too many people are focusing on their purpose, my reason, my company's, my stakeholders' priority. And we're missing the key element, which is this shared concept of finding what unites us, find us what makes us really strong and powerful. So not just one purpose, but shared purposes is what I invite you to engage with. What we're looking for is not even just enjoying the status of just being a great company, being a responsible company, a great leader. I would say that I would call you to become activists, to expand this new way of being a company into engaging many others, going beyond your business model and really going forward. What do I mean by that? Just a few examples. Ice cream. Where's the ice cream in Ben & Jerry's? Oops, they forgot about the ice cream. They're now making a government plea to improve the status of immigrants. This is a very tough thing to mention. It's not just ice cream and therefore, global heating or warming or anything else. They're actually making demands on immigration, a very delicate matter, but they don't care because Ben & Jerry is an activist organization. People love or hate Ben & Jerry because of their activism. When they love, they love. And this is the key driver of not just a responsible company, but a company that goes beyond what has been expected and goes forward. And what happens when you are an activist? Patagonia seems to be the most reputable company in the US. So this now makes me think maybe it's not just a few bunch of idealists or just activating and becoming activists, but this maybe has a result. Let's have a look at Spain. Let's come here and see what happens here. You see this gentleman, he may not strike you as the most powerful activist you can think of. He's the CEO of Capsa Food, Central Lechera. And I'm making lots of examples from Spain so that you can really miss all that you miss of not being here with us in Spain in this time due to COVID. But I want to bring home the concept that it's really everywhere around the world that this is happening. And if you go to Jose Armando Tellado's LinkedIn post, he sometimes mentions his companies and how responsible and sustainable it is, but mostly he just talks about his values, what is important. CEO of Capsa Food talks very, very openly and going well beyond what is expected from a CEO. And this seems to be becoming once again a trend. What's the result of this trend? Record benefits, record turnover. So again, is the old model, either you have a strong business model or you have a responsible, sustainable, activist one, to now how the two come together and provide these kind of benefits, which are just amazing. On the one side, we are businesses. Having benefit is a relevant part of what we do, but also we want to activate the best in people. We want to get the best values, the best passion in the people that work with us, buy from us, invest in us. So this new role of activism is really pushing things forward. And if you buy this concept, the next question would probably be, great. I love what you're saying, Daniel, but how do I go about it? Who do I do this with? And these are excellent questions that beg for an answer. And the answer is not strategy. It is not processes. It is not structures. Well, it's also a good strategy, good process, good structures. It's really much more fundamental. The most successful companies that I've noticed are people-centric. And you keep hearing this all the time, people, human beings. How can we center around these human beings? And now I want to give you some hints about how you can make that and how you can do that moving forward. So I talk to you from my experience. One of my hats, as Patricia presented, is being a B Corp ambassador. And this is something that unites us a lot. So every week we have these meetings around the world with the local community of B Corps. And this is the tagline that we will show. Together, we are a force for good. For a start, you're joining a meeting and this is the tagline. How do you feel? That's kind of good. That's a nice place where I want to be, where I belong, where I feel good. But what happens there is the conversation really are thinking about how can we be together? How are you as a person? How are you contributing? And the other beautiful thing that in each meeting we have new people coming in. Most companies are shedding employees. Amongst the B Corps, every time there's somebody new, I just joined. You feel there's an energy there which is missing elsewhere. 75% of B Corps have a huge brand rank. If anybody of you is in marketing knows that. It's a dream for every company. Basically, products sell themselves. They don't even need to do branding because they have such a strong brand relevance. And guess what? On average, a B Corp in their sector sells 3 times as much as a normal company. My drive here is not for you to certify as a B Corp. My drive here is to show you how being like a B Corp, being a good company, in Spain we say be de buena, being a good company really makes sense on every single level. Investments are flooding. Not just the impact investment, the BlackRocks, the Vanguard, and so forth. So it's not just impact investment. Investor says good company makes sense. If I invest in a good company, my profits will go up, my revenues will go up. Still, this is this imbalance that you need to balance. Very beautiful what I'm telling you now, but when you go back to your workplace, maybe just after this call, this event, you're struggling, right? Because you have your organization, your culture, your priorities there, and you've got people on the other side. So how can you balance these two things? Let me make sure that we really understand what human beings we have in front of us. Each one of us, because of this change, this chaos, this movement, this fast change, is in a moment of uncertainty, of fear, of stress. But also that same human being has aspiration, desires, passion. I feel that as leaders, very often we either go on one side, oh, let me look after you, let me do the risk management, let me address your stress, or we go into, yeah, we're going to be the top, the best company for the world, desire, passion. We should ideally balance these two elements to become the best possible leaders. And that's the regenerative leader, the super collaborator that will be the most successful leader in this time. Easy it isn't. If anybody can do it, you can do it. Let's have a go and see what this may look like. What does a super collaborator do? They unite purposes. They have a different idea of how to control. And warmth, that's an original one. Warmth for a leader, that's not something you hear very often. We briefly talked about uniting purposes, now control. So control, this is my message to you. I know this is very frustrating because you just got to the CEO position, you just achieved after your master in ESADE a promotion, you're a director, you're the boss, you got to the top, and I'm asking you to give that everything up and just relinquish control. So I'm aware I'm making a few enemies right now just by saying that, but hear me out, okay? 2 news items that appeared on the Guardian, on the Guardian, yes, which by the way is a B Corp as well, same day. One was the news that a Tesla car, autopilot drives along, the autopilot or something goes wrong, and the pilot is killed, the driver is killed on autopilot on a Tesla. Same day, another news item, 17 people die and dozens of vehicles crash because of human error. So on the one side, autopilot, the driver dies. On the other side, human error, 70 people die because they made some kind of mistake. The question to you now is, which car would you choose tomorrow? Autopilot or U-pilot? Whenever I ask this question, the answer is almost, or 90% of the time, engineers would say autopilot because then the chances are better. The rest of the world would say that I want to be in control. And this concept of I want to be in control is part of every single human being that you interact with wherever you go. So what does that mean is that people want more control. They want to be in control of what they do, of how they do things. And this is where, on the left-hand side, that's how companies were, and you were the boss. I was saying it was easy. I'm not sure it was that easy, but at least people, you told them, they did. You know, it's act on whatever the boss says. On the right-hand side is today's company. Today's company, you're not the boss, you're a leader, much more complex. In fact, where is the leader in this network company? Some are internal employees, some are outsourced, some are providers. It's really tough to manage this. And that's where giving control to these people, to each one of these dots, giving them enough control so they feel autonomous. They can make quick decisions and fast decisions. That's the key to a very successful company. But okay, I'll give control. Everybody decides what they want to do. That does not work either. I tried that at ABBF. I had this holacracy idea. Oh, let's now make sure that all my teams decide whatever they want to do. What happened next was immobilization. Nobody knew what to do. They were fearful of taking decisions. So just going back to your office tomorrow and say, okay, you guys are in control, decide what you want. That is not what I mean by giving control. You need to give them enough autonomy so that people feel in control. A basic element is time. Decide how much time you want to be in the office, you decide. That's a very simple one that really works very well. But also give them enough guidance so they feel they know how to control, they know what to control. The big decision you can control up to here, no. If you have any problems, contact that person. So enough control so they are autonomous, not so much giving away control that people are at a loss, don't know what to do next, or take the wrong decisions. Again, not easy, but a good way forward. And lastly, warmth. And warmth comes with a unusual kind of concept from a great, strong leader. And it goes back to what we were saying before. Each one of the people in your company is going through fear, through stress, through uncertainty, but also on the other side, aspirations, dreams, things that they want to do, ganas. No, in Spain we say, con ganas de hacer cosas. So this human being in front of you has both of these elements, and I would say is a explosive time bomb of opportunities that can go either one way or the other, and now in the heightened stress even more so. So this is where this concept of empathy really works. Imagine that you walk into an office where your leader has this warmth, this strength, this understands you, the people around you understand you. So it's not just the leader, just creating this atmosphere where chaos is everybody, uncertainty is everybody, opportunities keep happening. But here we feel good. Here we have empathy. Here we work 200%, we go really fast and everything else, but there's an empathy element, there's a warmth element that is in nowhere else. So again, not the usual thing, not an easy thing to do, but definitely the right way forward. And now, interesting enough, there's a magic element of this empathy, of this warmth, and a magic wand, I would say, which is exactly what you need to make sure that success is part of your leadership. And it's called women. Even more strongly, it's called feminine leadership. So this is just one news item, but you can just browse every single statistic, academic paper, news item, and so forth, especially in times of crisis, especially in times of strong change. Female leadership arises to give the best results. I do not want to know the details of why that is. Trust me, that's the way it is. I remember in the Impact Hub Madrid, which we co-founded, 4 men and 4 women were the founders. The meetings were so interesting because the guys wanted to just make things happen. We had 2,000 decisions per minute to take. Let's go. And inevitably, the female side, the 1 or 2 especially, said, hold on a second. Have we thought about that? Have we asked that person? And we said, oh, come on, let's get on with it. Let's move forward. But thank God that balance of the male and the female allowed us to make the best decisions. So this is a huge asset that's in front of you that you can really use. And so if you do not have enough women around you, do make sure that feminine leadership is there and present. If there is, give them the space, give them the protagonism that they need. If you're a woman, thank God you're in a leadership position, because your company will have the most successful outcomes ever. By the way, not by chance, 63% of these very successful B Corps are, or founders or members of the board are actually women. And again, another sign that it is the time for feminine leadership. It is the time to actually work in a different way and to go forward. So it's as simple as that. You know, in the ESADE alumni, it talks about this constructive spirit that you are really driving forward. So why don't you make this constructive spirit go and understand and unite the purposes of different stakeholders? Why don't you expand, try out, be brave, be a leader, and expand your activism, personal activism and company activism. Make sure you develop your super collaborator skills. Make sure the feminine leadership is part of your company, and definitely make sure your company is one of the best companies for the world. I wish you success. Thank you.